In this video, I'm gonna go over the 3 hacks that I use to lose 60 pounds in less than a year and transform my body. Now, we've all heard to lose weight, it always comes down to calories in versus calories out. And that is 100% true. I'm not here to refute that. I am here to say that that's not particularly useful. That's like saying to be a better basketball player, you have to put the ball in the hoop more. Yeah, they know that. It's truthful, but it's not particularly useful. Instead, I'm gonna go over the 3 habits that I changed in my own life and in my clients' lives to lose weight effectively and easily. If you're new to the channel, my name is Charles, and I'm a personal trainer who changed my own life through fitness and have helped hundreds of clients do the same. So without further ado, let's get into the first hack, which is pre-logging your day. So when I started my own fitness journey, without a doubt, the top game changer was logging my food and logging my diet. But whenever I had clients do the same, I noticed that they were all complaining about it being very tedious, it being time consuming, ultimately not sticking to their diet or their calories like they were supposed to. Where for me, it really wasn't a struggle. So I had to take a step back and see what gives. Why was tracking food so easy for me, but a lot of my clients were really struggling with it? And that's when it dawned on me. I didn't track food the way that my clients were tracking food. I woke up and the first thing that I did every single day was log the majority of my food and plan out what I was going to eat that day. It sounds simple, but I'm telling you, this one tip was an absolute game changer when it comes to sticking to a diet. So what makes this so effective? So normally when people log food, they're eating the food and then they're logging it, or maybe they're focusing on that specific meal and they're logging it and then moving on. But there's a few problems with doing it this way. The first problem is that the damage has already been done. By the time that you log it, if you've already eaten the food, the meal may be way more calories than you had thought it was, leaving you with very few calories left in the day, and ultimately making it much more likely that you go over your calorie goal by the end of the day. And the second problem is that if you're logging this way, it means that you're opening your food log multiple times a day, making it much more likely that you'll forget, more likely that you'll get behind on your food log, or just fall off altogether because it feels way more tedious doing it this way. By logging in advance, you can focus on portion sizes that aren't too many calories, and ultimately the habit becomes way less tedious because you're not pulling your phone out multiple times a day logging your food. And to play off of hack number 1, that brings us to hack number 2, forget about meal timing. Many people, myself included, get used to eating on a schedule. Just because it was lunchtime, I felt the need to eat food. It made sense to eat breakfast because it was the, quote, most important meal of the day after all. But this was honestly only slowing me down and making it harder for me personally to stick to my diet. So what finally made the difference? Following this one simple rule: eat when you're hungry. Don't eat just because it's time to eat. Instead, truly ask yourself, are you actually hungry? And if so, how hungry are you? Could you get away with eating one of your lighter, lower calorie planned meals instead of opting for the higher calorie option? If so, go for the lighter option and try to save more of your calories for the end of the day as a buffer. And speaking of substituting foods, this brings us to hack number 3, substitution, not elimination. For a long time, me personally, I believed that I couldn't eat most of my favorite foods during a diet. My favorite foods were pizza, burgers, and ice cream. Inevitably, after going weeks or months without my favorite foods, I would convince myself that I could have them. And this led to guilt, frustration, and inevitably when the scale went up a little bit, I would get very discouraged and give up altogether. But what if there was a way to actually incorporate some of my favorite foods into my diet? The truth is, I had never looked for other options for my favorite food, and many of these other substitutions are freaking insane nowadays. Keto buns are half the calories of a regular bun. They're higher in fiber, they're higher in protein, they taste pretty much the same, making my burger lighter, higher in protein, and more filling because of the fiber. Using keto breads instead of regular bread and egg whites instead of eggs makes my anabolic French toast every morning have 300 calories and almost 60 grams of protein. Sugar-free syrup instead of regular syrup, Halo Top ice cream instead of Ben & Jerry's, diet soda instead of regular soda. The list goes on and on. Now, will these substitutions be as good as the original? Probably not, but that's not really what we're aiming for here. If your favorite food is a 10 out of 10, what we're aiming for is closer to a 7 out of 10. Something that just kind of scratches the itch and makes the diet more bearable. Plus, psychology shows us that we don't really eat the things that we like the things that we eat. Meaning that given enough time of eating this substitution, you're probably going to like it, maybe not as good, but close to as good, and honestly, maybe even better. Like when it comes to diet soda, I can't even drink regular soda nowadays. I just love diet, and it's 0 calories. So, putting it all together, we wake up and the first thing we do is we log our food and we kind of plan out our day. Maybe not everything, but we need to plan out the things that are the biggest contributors. Next, we eat those meals only when we're hungry, not around scheduled food times. And lastly, we make reasonable substitutions to our diet to make our calories lower, our protein higher, and the diet a little more sustainable long term, aiming for about a 7 out of 10 on how satisfying we find the food. If you focus on these 3 things, dieting will be a lot easier and the pounds will fall off without much effort. And lastly, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel to learn more about fitness and nutrition.